Let me go, Bull. You go. Let me go.
Wow, what a scene. Well, I'll tell you what, firefighters helping firefighters in that level of extreme, I know it's just Hollywood. But you know what? We've got two key critical issues out there in the fire service today that we're going to talk about. And unfortunately, they're killing firefighters at a very, very alarming rate. So let's get started. We're going to start with PTSD, and that is post-traumatic stress disorder. So let's get into it. Now I want you to think about going to the cabinet, getting a glass out, right? Taking it over to the sink, and I want you to start the water on a slow drip. And allow it to start filling that cup. And I want you to think, all right, that cup is your brain. And every time there's a drip or an incident, it's beginning to fill your brain with all these images. And they just keep coming. Every day you go to shift, it's a new tragedy, it's a new incident, and we're having to deal with it and work around it. We see pain, we see suffering, we see people losing large parts of their lives, their homes. We're rescuing people. We're fighting fires, and we're being exposed over and over and over to all these things. Well, there's a point in that glass that when it hits it, it's at its fullest level. And there's not going to be one drip more that it can take. When that happens in our brain, that's when post-traumatic stress disorder occurs. So what is the mechanisms, or what manifests from all these traumatic incidences that we see? Well, let's take a look. It starts out pretty easy. We start to get burned out. We don't really want to go to the job. It's there. We got to do it because it is our job. But we start getting this real burnt out attitude in regards to it. We start to get some anxiety every time we're going to a call. Is it going to be that call? Am I going to be seeing something horrible again? And we dread starting to go to those calls. And each one of those post-traumatic stresses that we suffer on the job just continues to build until it boils over into post-traumatic stress disorder. And unfortunately, it may manifest itself in the very end to suicide. To be exact, 2019 was probably one of the best years we had for firefighter line of duty deaths. We only had 50. And that's amazing. That number came down dramatically because it used to be in the 100 plus. But the suicide rate in 2019 was 133 firefighters. That's 2.5 times greater than the line of duty deaths. We're 5 times more likely to suffer from suicide than the general population out there. And that's because of all these critical stress incidents that we go to that just build up. Like that glass, our brain needs to have a spigot somewhere where we can drain that. How do we do this stuff? Well, one of the first things we need to do is educate ourselves. Learn to recognize those signs. Learn to recognize them in our fellow firefighters so that we can help them out. Learn to recognize them in ourselves so that we can start to help ourselves out. We need to communicate with our family, let them know what's going on. out there. We need to learn how to access help also. There's this stigma that, well, I'm going to see a psychologist. Well, it's seen as a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength that you really want to help yourself. So part of this, again, we need to get out there and help our fellow firefighters through these. Let's go on to cancer, because cancer is now the #1 killer of firefighters today. There was a study done by the IFFF, and in it they quote, 61% of firefighters will come down with cancer in their lifetime. That's 2/3 of all firefighters out there today are going to experience cancer in their lifetime. I have 8 friends right now that are suffering with cancer right now, have been diagnosed with leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, lung cancer, brain cancer, and the list goes on and on. And the number that I've lost, friends that I've lost due to cancer, I can't count them on my hands and toes any longer. It's just too many. It is a real issue. Well, what's happening? Well, what's changed? Our homes have changed. They're not built with natural fibers, solid wood, any of those type of things. It's all about new stuff, new laminates, engineered thermoplastics, polyurethane, synthetic fibers, wood that is not really wood. It's engineered. It's all particles glued together. And when these are exposed to fire, cancer-causing agents come from them. Items like, or products like benzene, known to the state of California to cause cancer. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, formaldehydes, cyanides, and the list goes on and on of all these products, right, that we in the fire service are getting exposed to. So how do we work through these? What do? Well, maybe it's time we started treating all fire incidences like a hazmat scene now. We make sure that we wear all our proper PPE. We make sure that our SCBA is on, even during mop-up stages. And when we're done, we come out and we go through a gross decon and we get all those particles off of us. We rinse off. We bag our clothing up. We don't live in that. We don't put it on the wall as a badge of courage. Hey, look it, smell my coat. We were at a fire. No, we've got to clean them because all those products, particulates, embed themselves into our turnouts. We need to provide ongoing medical surveillance for early detection. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to eat right. We need to get good sleep, good restful sleep. We need to exercise. We need to stay away from bad habits like tobacco use and alcohol use. If we can do all these things, we can reach out, we can start helping. We can start turning this tide of what's killing us today, because it's not the line of duty deaths any longer. It's these outside things, suicide, cancer. These are the things that are killing us today in the fire service. I want to thank you for listening today. This is a very important subject, and it's not going anywhere soon. We need to start really working on this. And I hope to see each and every one of you in an academy coming up, because at the academy, we go much more in depth on each one of these subjects, so you have a really good understanding of both those. So again, thank you for listening today.